All right, this is Now What with Jeanna, and I'm going to start in just a second. Give a few people some time to jump in. Oh, and I forgot to schedule the Instagram one, but I got a little busy and a little overwhelmed today. Oh, wait, that's the topic. We're going to talk about how to eliminate overwhelm in recovery. So I didn't even think about that. In fact, this whole overwhelm theme, yeah, I guess you'd call it that. The overwhelm theme has been my theme this week specifically. So I'm going to go ahead and put my glasses on so I can see stuff. I didn't intend for it to be my theme, but you know, it just kind of has happened. I don't know why that's doing that. So, anyways, it wants me to unlock an automatic recording, but I can't do it, which means I can't get to what's underneath it. All right. So, anyways, we're going to talk about how to eliminate overwhelm. And before we do, I want to introduce today's sponsor. And by the way, I make this up as I go. I don't have an actual sponsor. Although I would be interested in getting one of these days. So keep that in mind if you're looking for a sponsee. Not an AA sponsee. That's not quite what I'm talking about. But anyways, today's show sponsor is Time Traveler's Wife. I'm watching this show on HBO, and I'm finding it funny and entertaining. And I mean, there's a lot of naked guys, so what's not to like about that? If you're into naked guy, go ahead and give it a watch. So I'm fluttering all over the place because I'm looking at things in every direction. Anyway, so I'll go ahead and introduce the show. Today's show is Now What with Jeanna, where I answer questions, offer tips, and say stupid shit that I'm sure I will later regret about addiction, sobriety, and recovery. If you have a question, please feel free to let me know. I answer them as I can. If it's a quick question with a short answer, I can answer it right now. Or at least at the end of the show. If it is a longer question that takes a little more thought, then I will save it for a future show. I have my show scheduled out for the next month, and I did not look at the topic next, but I'll figure it out. But anyways, I can schedule it for a future show. However, I don't know. I can move things around if I need to. If you have a question, just let me know, and we'll figure out what to do about that. I'm always willing to answer questions as people have them and to give help where it's necessary. You know, we can't do this in a vacuum. Recovery is hard. So, yes, please reach out to me if you need anything. All right. So, as I said earlier, today's topic is how to eliminate overwhelm. I'm going to have trouble saying that. And I also said that seems to be my theme for this week. And so I, by the way, scheduled this a couple of weeks ago, this topic, and so I did not schedule it because I was feeling overwhelmed. And it just happened to be this is my topic for the week. And I think it turns out that it's a good topic because I can address what's going on with my own feelings of overwhelm, but also it's a good topic because I'm feeling the overwhelm. I did a bit of research, and it reminded me of some things that I could be doing to help my own overwhelm. So this weekend is when I really kind of noticed that that's what was going on. So Friday, Vince went to the movies with his nephew, and it was no big deal. We'd already knew he was going to do that. I don't have a problem with him going. I really didn't want to see the show that he was seeing. So we're fine, except for I wasn't fine. And it wasn't like I was horribly bad fine, but I was a little bit off kilter, and I didn't know what it was. Saturday came along, and I kind of really I was triggered, and I was not triggered to drink, but I was triggered to do something. I don't know if you guys know that feeling, I can't hold myself in the house. I'm bored, but I wasn't bored, and I just felt like I needed to get out and do something, but there really wasn't anything to do on that night. We didn't have any plans, and so not a whole lot going on. And I recognized the feeling as a feeling I would have had when I was drinking, that would have definitely sent me out partying and drinking, and I would have been drunk. But I didn't feel like drinking. I just recognized that that was a feeling that I had that that led me to drinking in the past. This whole idea that I want to get out and do something, and I'm still not connecting it with overwhelm. All I'm thinking is something is off. Something is off. And I don't remember what triggered it, but Sunday morning is when it all came down to I'm really just not feeling well. Oh, I remember what it was. Vince said to me, he said he read a passage, probably from a daily reflection, because we do that on a regular basis. And the passage said if you had 24 hours and no money problems, money wasn't an issue, what would you do? And Vince, oh man, he described a wonderful day, a day that I would have loved with my grandchildren and the beach and just enjoying being out and us spending time together. And it was a perfect day, but I couldn't appreciate that. And I couldn't even look at him when I responded. He says, well, what would you do? I could not look at him because I felt so bad because of his perfect day, included me and my family. So I turned away and I says, you're not going to like this, but I would extend my 24 hours to 72, and I would rent a hotel room by the beach all by myself with no one there. And I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I felt so bad, but that's all I could think of is I wanted just me, just space, and there was something else that went with that. And this is the, compassion fatigue, I think is what I would call it. I know that's a term that I did not coin. It is a real term, compassion fatigue. That was part of it, though, what was going on, and it was all the stuff I have to do, and there was a lot of overwhelm in there. This idea that it just never lets up was there. So, anyways, that's what came of this, and I'll tell you what I did to ease that all at the end of this show. But for now, we're going to talk about what overwhelm is. So overwhelm is when you get too much of anything. I would say a good thing, a bad thing, too many emotions all at once, too much work all at once. You can get overwhelmed. It's too much of a thing. Too many people. In fact, I noticed that I don't get overwhelmed in crowds too much, but I have in the past been overwhelmed by too many people. Kids have been overwhelmed. My kids have been overwhelmed by too many presents on the Christmas tree. They liked that, by the way, when they were little. I don't know about so much now, but when they were little, they liked that. But that's an overwhelming thing for children to see. Just where do I start, So, and we get that in sobriety, in recovery, for a number of reasons. First of all, I'm going to talk about some of the reasons, and then, by the way, at the end of the show, I'm going to talk about what you can do to eliminate some of your overwhelm or help you make it through, and why it's not a good thing for sobriety to feel overwhelmed. You probably guessed that, but we're going to go into a little bit of detail on that. So, anyways, why sobriety creates overwhelm? You have a couple things going on. First is PAWS, post-acute withdrawal syndrome. These are the lingering effects of drug and alcohol withdrawal. It takes a while for your body, for your brain, for all this stuff to recover. You don't like, I just kind of thought, okay, my hangover's done. It's been 3 days. My hangover's done. I should be normal. I should be able to recover and, think. But it doesn't work like that. With post-acute withdrawal syndrome, there's still, it's anywhere from a couple weeks to a year. You still have this fog in your head that makes it difficult to think and get clarity. You have emotional ups and downs. There's a lot of things that are continuing to go on while your brain is cleaning out the system, its system. We saw some studies that showed that it took 6 months for the brain to light up, all the parts of the brain to light up, as a I don't know, repair from the damage from alcohol use. So 6 months sober, your brain starts becoming more active and more normal. So you can't imagine 2 weeks in that you're not going to feel the effects of post-acute withdrawal syndrome, which could include overwhelm. I'm kind of moving off topic there. So the second thing that may be causing you overwhelm is too many changes all at once. If once when I got sober, oh my gosh, I had to change my friends, I had to change the environment I hung out in, I had to change what I did on a Friday, Saturday night. I started meeting with a recovery group and going to meetings, and I was doing a meeting a day, so I had to change that. I had to change how I spent my free time. I had to change everything, and too many changes all at once can create overwhelm. Part of the thing with your brain and habits and things going smoothly the way they are is your brain doesn't have to think about what you're going to drink. Let's say, for example, I know my brain didn't when I was going on alcohol. I didn't have to think about that. What you're going to drink, we'll just pour the drink. Okay. Now that that's not an option, your brain has to think about what to drink instead, because it's that habit isn't there. That automatic go-to is no longer there, so it has to think about that. It ends up probably thinking about what you want to be drinking, and so anyways, all these changes means that your brain has to think in order to enact the changes, in order to adjust to them, and that creates a little bit of overwhelm. Getting too much information at once, which is probably a big part of my problem. I get overwhelmed all the time. Like for this even, I researched and I researched and I researched, and a lot of it said the same thing, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave anything out, so I kept pulling and looking at stuff, and I'm going, whoa. I have 100 examples here of how you can do this, and I only need 5. So too much information can become overwhelmed. Having to choose between the information can become overwhelmed. Self-talk can create overwhelm. How do you talk to yourself? And I want to think about for a second, how did you talk to yourself when you were drinking and you felt overwhelmed? When I felt that stress, that beginning of anxiety because it was too much, the first thing I told myself was, go ahead and get a drink. You're feeling overwhelmed, that'll calm you down, it'll clear your brain. It was such an opposite reaction. It'll clear your brain, you'll be able to think, and you can deal with this overwhelm. So your self-talk will create the overwhelm. First of all, it will say you need a drink. It will say you can't handle everything that's going on, even though you probably can. If it says you can't handle it, you get overwhelmed because you can't handle it, because you think you can't handle it. It says this is too much for you. What are you telling yourself, and how could that be adding to the overwhelm or helping you create overwhelm? Sobriety is way too hard. I can't do it. I don't get along with these people. I don't understand what the spirituality thing of it means. There's too many changes going on, and when you're telling yourself this stuff, you are creating your own overwhelm. And then last but not least, the emotions that you're feeling or could be feeling creates overwhelm. Why does it do that? Because you're not used to feeling these things. If you covered up your emotions with drugs or alcohol, you numbed those emotions, and you're not used to feeling sad, or you're not used to feeling angry, or in my case, I was used to feeling angry, but I was used to feeling angry with drugs and alcohol. Well, alcohol is mostly what I drank, and alcohol is what made me angry, and I was used to feeling it with that, so that when I got sober and I started feeling my feelings, it was a different experience, and there were a few times that, yes, it did create overwhelm. So, I'm going to scroll down. I got notes. I always have notes. Why is it important to understand overwhelm and addiction and recovery? When you get overwhelmed, it triggers your addictive behaviors. As I said earlier, what you used to do to relieve your overwhelm, you will want to go right back to, especially at first. Later it gets easier. The overwhelm is not, for me, the overwhelm wasn't creating a trigger to drink, but it was creating a trigger to get out of my space. And when I did that in the past, I got out of my space by going out, to party. And then I drank. So As I said, it didn't trigger me to drink, but it did trigger my old addictive behaviors, which one step leads to another step leads to another step. So you want to know about overwhelming. Try to keep yourself in a calm space so that doesn't happen. It also creates, and I just realized this this weekend with me and then with Vince, we were talking about this. Overwhelm can create this fight, flight, or freeze sensation or experience. I know that when I have too much work to do, I do this sort of freeze thing and I don't do any of it. Maybe that's a flight thing. I don't know. I don't do any of it. I can't make a decision. I can't think. I feel like I freeze, and it's because there's just so much going on. Whereas Vince, and I don't mean to talk about him while he's not here, but Vince will run away from a problem. I'll run away from a problem for a minute, but then I kind of sort of freeze in the problem. And so it creates this, if you're having a flight, fight, or freeze, fight, flight, or freeze reaction in sobriety, and you want to overcome it and overwhelm it, it's back to that trigger, how it might trigger active behaviors. And then on top of it, the overwhelm itself makes it difficult to think or act. If you're having this freeze reaction, freeze, not make a decision, not make, I can't think when I'm feeling that. So anyways, you want to avoid any of this. So like I said, it can lead to triggers to relapse. It can lead to not being able to cope with your emotions, or not make a good decision, or just simply making bad decisions because you don't know what decision to make. Anyways, there are a few tips that I wanted to give you to help you overcome some of this. I'm watching time a little bit. The first thing I had to do, it's not the first thing I did this weekend. I work on my mindset always. Positive thinking. Well, hello, Andrea. I'm glad to see you're here. Yeah, I'm going to wave to you. How about this? I'm in the middle. We were talking about, and actually, I think this one might be good for you. We're talking about how to overcome or avoid overwhelm. And I'm just getting into the tips. So some of this might help you out a little bit. And yeah, try some of them. Anyway, so tips. First of all, first thing you can do is work on your mindset shift. So positive thinking. I could look at it as I got all this stuff to do. Oh my God, it's overwhelming. Or I got all this stuff to do because I'm making moves and things are happening and this is a good thing. If I'm looking at it in a negative way, I'm going to look at it as overwhelm. If I'm looking at it into my life is going to be so much better because I'm doing this and getting this stuff done, it's a different perspective. This is an exciting thing. There's an anxiety action or an exciting action. And if you didn't know this, anxiety and excitement both bring the same bodily reaction. The same bodily reaction. You can, with excitement, your heart might increase. You might get a little nervous. You might get anxious. It's a good thing. If you get anxious, am I doing this wrong? If you get anxious, your heart's gonna increase. You might sweat a little bit. All these things happen whether you're anxious or excited. Why not be excited? So if that mindset, think about overwhelming thing, too many things to do as a positive thing. Another thing you can do with your mindset is to pause. Just take a minute, and usually you would have to do that to change your positive thinking, but to take a minute and take a deep breath so everything slows down for you. And practice that mindfulness, that in the here, right now, in the moment, kind of thinking, kind of just stop and get out of this overwhelm. Take that deep breath, and then usually when I do that, I say, okay, what's the next thing? What do I need to do next? And I let my body feel that. I know that's going to sound strange to some of you, but I have learned, or I don't know, I feel that intuition is less a brain thing and more a whole body thing. And when I calm myself enough to get into a space of mindfulness, then I have an opportunity to feel my intuition. I don't know, it's strange. I did not feel it at all when I was drinking. I couldn't feel a whole lot of anything. But now that I'm sober, if I stop and feel my body, Hi again, Andrea. If I stop and feel my body, I can feel my intuition. It doesn't come to my head, it comes kind of here. All right, so second tip for overcoming or managing your overwhelm, or even avoiding your overwhelm. In this tip, I kind of debated on pulling it out, and that is to set goals. And the reason I wanted to pull it out is because I can be a goal setter and I can set too many goals, and my goals create overwhelm. However, I wanted to put it in because number 3 is identify priorities, number 1, and number two is what we're working on. Because if you set the right goals, it kind of will focus you on what's important. I don't know if I said that right. So here we go. Set goals. I can set a goal to be sober for the next 24 hours. That's all. It's not how I tend to set goals. I tend to set too big, which is my next part of this tip. Set realistic goals. Set a goal to be sober for the next 24 hours. Set a goal to do a little house cleaning. Set a goal to read a book. Set some goals so that you can focus on those goals as opposed to focusing on everything. That's the whole idea of setting the goal, is to bring your focus in. Hello, Imagery by Brian. Thank you for joining. This is Now What with Jeanna, and I am talking about how to eliminate overwhelm in recovery, and I'm at some tips. So anyways, when you set your goals, don't set big ones, because remember, we're early in recovery, or maybe we're later in recovery, and we're trying to relieve the overwhelm. So we're looking at setting little goals and making them realistic goals. I don't know. For me, actually, this is a goal I have to set. I want to go to the beach. I have to set that goal, and then I can focus on that goal. And if it's a work goal, I will break those goals down, into small tasks, and I will focus on one of the small tasks at a time. It's a small task, and let the others go so that they don't become part of my overwhelm. So the next one is to identify your priorities. You don't have to do all the things right now. You can do 1 or 2 of the things right now, or you can do just one thing right now. Identify what your priority is and look at that. And set the others aside, because you don't need to deal with everything at once. Priorities. I love Mark Twain's quote, and Andrea, you may remember this because I've been saying it for years, and that is, if you, I'm not going to quote it exactly, if you have to eat a frog today, it's best to eat it first thing in the morning. And if you have to eat 2 frogs today, start with the biggest one. I don't know. That's about how the quote goes. It's not exact. Mark Twain said that, and what he's getting in, what comes from that, Brian Tracy says about that quote is that when you eat the big frog first, you don't spend the rest of the day worrying about having to eat that big frog. You get it out of the way, and that takes a lot of the overwhelm out of your head. You're done with the hard job, you're done with the thing that you're fretting on all day, it's over with, and you can really kind of enjoy the rest of the day, do the little things, but you got that one big thing done, and it is out of your way. And good Lord, there are things that I struggle with that I don't want to do, and I can put them off, and I can put them off, and I can put them off, and it just makes my entire day a mess. And then a lot of times I don't even ever get to it till the next day. And then I wake up and I'm doing the same thing, thinking about the problem from day to day to day. On the other hand, if I've got, say, something I have to write and I don't want to write it, and I do it first thing in the morning and it's done and over with, then I can move on to my next one. Now, I put meetings as my priorities, especially early in recovery. Hello, Simo. I cannot pronounce Elgmiri. Thank you for joining. This is Now What with Jeanna, and today I'm talking about dealing with overwhelm in recovery. So anyways, priorities. I set priority as my meetings as a priority first thing in the morning. And I actually enjoyed meetings early in recovery, but I was afraid that I would fall off and not do them. Someone has joined, I think, on Facebook. I'd like to say hi to you. I don't know who you are, but if you want to send me a message, I would love to see where you're from and hi. Anyways, if by setting my priority to get to a meeting, to meditate first thing in the morning, to start my day off eating well, to journal first thing in the morning, when I set that as a priority, I get it done first thing in the morning. I put my mind in a great place to move on with the rest of the day. I eliminate the overwhelm of, am I going to make it tonight? Am I going to make it tonight? If something comes up and I can't make it, I eliminate that. And it just made things so much easier for me, especially early on in recovery. All right, so next, and I'm probably going to skip a couple of these because this is going on for a little while, but I want to get to one that I added in last minute that was so helpful for me. This one is to declutter your home and your mind. I'll tell you how to declutter your mind in a bit. That's the one I added last minute. Declutter your home. I'm looking around at my office right now, and it's a tight space, and I got too much in here, and it makes me crazy. It's just it overwhelms me. I can't find stuff. My pencils are nowhere. Things fall off shelves. That creates overwhelm for me. So declutter that space. When I walk in the kitchen and I've got things on the counter, I have to clean the counter before I can cook dinner. That creates overwhelm for me. So declutter your space. Get rid of books you don't need. Actually, my mom is going through some of her magazines, and I'm so glad she is, because it's decluttering her space. Now she knows that she's gotten rid of that. There's no point in looking at it. There's no point in worrying about whether or not those recipes were in there or whatever. She just clean it up. That will get rid of so much of your overwhelm. If your space is a problem, I know people who have very organized houses, and when they're looking for a piece of paper, when they're looking for a number, they know exactly where to go, and they don't have to worry about finding it. In fact, when I'm looking for a pen, I know where all my pens are, because I'm lucky that way, that I do at least have that much in order, and I just swing my chair around and go to the drawer where I keep them, and I don't have to think about it. That is so important for decluttering my space. And then if as we're talking about recovery and how things you can do here, declutter the people. Declutter your connection to certain people. There are certain people that I know that when I'm around, it creates chaos. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time feeling that chaos around those people. So I declutter my time with certain people. Declutter the people I'm around. All right, so I'm going to skip down to a couple. I think one of the ones that was really important was to let things go. Let go of the things you can't control. Let go of some of the things that bother you. If you're trying to think about 3 things at the same time, and one of the things is something that happened 3 days ago, let go of it. Declutter your brain by not thinking about things you can't control, or not thinking about things that bother you, that don't need to bother you. Let go of the things that become too much. Things that become too much. I didn't put an example for you. I had one in my mind when I wrote it down, but things that become too much. I actually, here's one. We're trying to work on a document, Vince and I are, and it's becoming too much. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and he wants to go in deeper, and we're adding pages, and we're just fine-tuning it, making sure no commas there. It's becoming too much, and I need to let go of parts of it that have become too much. I don't need to let go of the document, but it's becoming too much, and I need to stop and say, no more, we're done. So that's what we're doing. Actually, we're actually, I kind of did that today. I just said, I'm done, we're not doing too much. So we're letting go of the things that become too much. I want to talk just briefly about how you can use self-care to help with your anxiety. I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that because that's what I did this Sunday. So I'll talk about that next. But the last one I want to talk about is close your open cycles. This tip was given to me by a friend, Dan Vega. He's a business coach. And I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to say it exactly how he said it. However, it works for me so much. And what he said was that when you have too many open cycles, when you have too many things that need to get done, your brain gets overcluttered with just too many things that need to get done. You cannot hold on to everything in your brain, and it just creates this fog. You know, I've got stuff I'm telling myself, stuff I got to do on my website. I got stuff I got to do with that document that I'm talking about. I got this live coming up. I got to go, to help my mom. We're going to Pensacola tomorrow. So all these things happen, and then they start backing up. I'm thinking about constipation. I don't know why, but I'm thinking about constipation. You got to go to the bathroom. It starts backing up and it hurts more and it hurts more and it always becomes harder to do what you got to do. Don't know why poop got in my head at that moment. I don't have that problem, but all this stuff backs up and then nothing comes out. Nothing gets done. You can't think straight. So he said, in order to clear your mind, in order to relieve yourself of some of that stress, some of that overwhelm, you have to close your open cycles. And here's how he said to do it. And I do this once I start. In fact, I'll probably do it real soon, like this afternoon. Thank you, Andrea, and we'll talk to you later. I don't know if that means you're leaving, but good luck. We will talk to you later. Anyway, so close your open cycles. What he said to do is to make a list of everything you can think of that you got open right now. And it can be little things from I need to clean the garage and I haven't seen the doctor in a while and so I need to make an appointment. And my tooth has been bothering me, but I don't want to go, but I got to make an appointment for that. And I owe so and so some money. And so I'm worried about that. And oh yes, that kitchen has been backing up on me, and all these things. Write all these things down, and then you're going to separate it into 4 lists. I think he said 4 lists. It might have been 3, but I used 4, so we're going to go that way. You're going to put on one list what you can do right now today, and then do it. Do it right now today. If it's a doctor's appointment, call it right now today. There's nothing stopping you from making that doctor's appointment. Call the doctor right now. If it's cleaning out your garage, that's a little bit bigger task. You may not be able to do it right now, but everything on that list that you can do right now, do it today. Get it over with. Just take a day of piddly things. I got to do this. It's 2 minutes. I got to do that. It's 5 minutes. I need to clean out my email. It's going to take a little bit longer, but what I do is after a while I just delete. I'm going delete. So do that right now. What can you do today? Do it right now. What can you do within a dedicated time? Then schedule it. That garage, like I said, cleaning out the garage might take a whole day. Having a garage sale might take a whole day. Schedule it to happen on Saturday and then do it on Saturday. What can I do in a dedicated amount of time? Well, maybe I have to help someone move. Okay, I don't get to schedule that time, but it's going to take me 4 or 5 hours, so I'm going to schedule to do it. Maybe I need some more information to write an article, so I'll schedule a time to gather the information and then do it. So things that take a little bit longer that you can schedule and do like almost immediately, schedule it to do it. What can you delegate? You don't have to do everything on your list. You can have your kids help you with certain things. Okay, I'm going to get on the garage Saturday, but we also need this to get deep clean today. You can do this. So delegate that it gets done by someone else. And then the final list, final square you put things on, what you can't do at all. What you can't do at all. And then let it go. All right, so if you're just coming out of recovery, into recovery, you might have some bills that you need to pay. I have some bills that I need to pay. And I can't do it all at once. so I've had to put some of them off. I've had to cut my bills down, like, they want $40 a month, and I just say, sorry, I got 10. And at least I'm still paying, but, I'm finally taking responsibility for my bills. And honestly, if I took responsibility for all of them at the same time, I'm talking some medical bills, it would be overwhelming. So I'm taking responsibility the best way I can, and then I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. So if you can't do it all, let it go. You have to. You can let it go. Actually, you can let it go for 6 months if you have to. Just say, I'm not going to worry about this for 6 months. Put it on your calendar and schedule a date to start worrying about it again. But let it go, and that will release you of so much overwhelm. I know when he first told me about this, I have money issues. I don't deal with money. I don't like to ask for money. I don't like to owe money. I don't like to take care of bills. I don't even like to shop because money puts me in a panic. When I first heard about this, I had someone who owed me about $400. And I did not want to ask for that $400. It was from a job I had done, a contract I had done, and they just hadn't paid me yet. Didn't want to ask for the $400. I don't know why. All I had to do was send a letter. But I put it on my do it right now list. And I sent the email. It was an email. Sent the email. She paid me right now. And I no longer had to worry about it, which relieved this huge burden off my back, and it got rid of so much of my overwhelm. Can you imagine having to receive money as being a burden, as being a reason to deal with overwhelm, and how easy that was to handle? Now, I want to tell you, it took me about 2 or 3 weeks. I was just stressing over asking for money for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then he told me about the close your open cycles, and I just did it, and I had money. I wasn't stressing over not getting the money. I was literally stressing over sending an email that I don't know, just talking about it. I didn't like it. So anyways, close your open cycles. Create yourself that really long list. I want to say hi to Coco Chanel. Thank you for joining me. I'm about to finish up, but I'm talking about managing overwhelm in recovery. And a lot of these, by the way, I hadn't said anything, but a lot of these are not recovery tips. This is some things you can do because this is a particular problem that people in recovery have. It's a problem that I have, whether I'm early in recovery, later in recovery. I like to put too much on my plate, and I have to deal with it. So I have to do some of this stuff. But anyway, so we finished off with the close your open cycles. We didn't actually finish off. I got one more. Close your open cycles. Write a list of everything that you need to do that's nagging on your brain to get it done, and then break it down into 4 lists. What you can do right now, what you can do within a dedicated amount of time, what you can delegate, and what you can just freaking let go. We don't have to do all the things all the time. And then go ahead and take care of that stuff. Do it if you can do it right now. Schedule a time if you have to do it later. Give it to someone else. Let it go. That'll take care of so much of your overwhelm if you do not have to think about it. The last one, it's actually the next to the last one, and that is be patient with yourself. Sobriety will create more clarity and more ability to think, but it takes time. As I said earlier, it takes your brain about 6 months. According to studies, we saw pictures of the brain, and the brain, there were just little speckles of parts where it was lit up, newly sober, or while they were drinking. And then after 6 months, the whole thing lit up, the whole thing lit up. But it took 6 months to get your brain recovered to a point where that can happen. Now, if you're trying to solve problems, if you're trying to, deal with overwhelm, if you're trying to make decisions, your brain right now is only functioning at a portion. It's got those little speckles of things working for you. It's only functioning at a portion of what you can normally do. And at those 6 months, you get to a point where you're thinking much clearer and quicker. And the fog is going away. And I know that, and Andrea, thank you for coming back. You're back. I know that as a writer, it took me a year from the day I quit drinking to my next writing assignment. I didn't write anything for an entire year. And then actually, it was at about a year when I realized the effect it had. I finally started writing again, and I was still struggling with it because my brain was not clear. I had difficulty researching. I had difficulty organizing things in my head. A year after getting sober, at a year and a half, I was feeling much better. But even so, it takes a year for your brain to heal from the damage that we've done. And so be patient. If you're feeling that overwhelm, take a deep breath. Give yourself some self-care. Give yourself some grace. It's going to come to you, So that's what I did for As Sundays. As you may remember from the beginning of this podcast, I talked about Sunday. I realized I had some overwhelm happening, and I was in tears. And I said to Vince, I think I'm just going to take a me day. I didn't go to a meeting. Vince left for the day just to let me have that. And I ended up hanging around here for a little while, and then realized that wasn't really a me day because I'm still working on other things. And I went to the beach, took a walk on a path on the beach, and I did take my camera and I took a bunch of pictures, and I might use them later, but that's a fun, creative thing for me, so that was part of it. But I mostly just enjoyed and relaxed and listened to the sounds, and I definitely meditated, and I definitely walked the path and walked to the beach afterwards, and I sweated a lot. It was, I think someone said it was 91 degrees that day, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but then you add the humidity, and I was just soaking wet by the time I was done. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed, go ahead and give yourself that break and take a day, or take an hour, or take 10 minutes to meditate. Take some time to give yourself some self-care. And I think that's it for today. What I will say is that we got some changes happening. If you watch the podcast, or we have a podcast, it's called Back Porch Chats. We have not made any changes to that, but part of my overwhelm is all I have to do to do that. What we're going to do is rebrand that so that it is called Now Sober, so that everyone, it fits under all the umbrellas. If it's under one umbrella, it's tied in with everything. And it's going to save me a lot of work. So if you listen to Back Porch Chats or the podcast, Andrea, yes, it's going to continue to feel that way. And by the way, you're going to school, and that's a new thing. That was actually on my list. Changes, all these changes we're making. Changes create overwhelm. So, and you're making a lot of changes now with going back to school, and even the beginning of every semester, you may be used to going to school, but now you're not used to this new teacher. You're not used to this syllabus, this workload, this topic. So you're going to feel that way for a while. It gets better, but until you're finished with school, it's going to be in and out. And then even when you finish with school, you're going to have another big change, and it might feel overwhelming there too. So anyways, back to Back Porch Chats. I'm going to put a link in here for you guys. I think I'm going to try to put this. Oh, this is not it. Never mind. We're changing Back Porch Chats to Now Sober. It's not there yet. If you haven't heard the podcast Back Porch Chats, you can go there right now under Back Porch Chats. But it'll eventually be Now Sober, and we're doing that just so it fits in with everything. And to make my life a lot easier, we have a website for that. I'm going to drop that website and tie everything into one website. And so anyways, watch for those changes with Back Porch Chats. Also, I have an ask for you guys, a favor. It's a huge one. And that is, I'm trying to get the link for you so I can throw this in here. That is, we have a YouTube channel. I've never done this, by the way, with this new Instagram setup, but there it is. We have a YouTube channel, and if you, oh, wait a minute, let me get this to the other one. Can't post messages, just, oh, not a problem. Anyways, if you see that, look at those numbers and letters, and what the hell does all that mean? We have a YouTube channel, and right now, it is called UCMB6-MQQR. It's that. That is our URL, and I can tell people how to get there by clicking and posting and pasting. Right now, you might be able to click right on or cut and paste and go there. But I want to change it. I want to change it to www.youtube.com.nowsobercoach. I can't do that until I have 100 followers. So I'm asking this big favor to go over to YouTube and take a look at the channel and hit that subscribe button so I can get my name changed. I only have 11 right now, and I'm excited. I want it to switch over so I can call it Now Sober. I am looking forward to that. But also, that's where I have the bank of all my videos. Back Porch Chats videos are on there. Not all of them, because we didn't start with recording videos. But the Back Porch Chats videos are on there. My Dry January tips are on there, which can be used year-round. All these lives are on there. This is where I have, that's essentially acting as my library. So hit that subscribe button, and yeah, whether you hit it or not, you have access to it. But anytime I have a new one posted, it will tell you, and you're doing me, like I said, a huge favor, giving me the opportunity to change my URL from a lot of numbers that make no sense to Now Sober Coach. And I am rambling, so I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for joining me. That's it for Now What with Jeanna. I will see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. I'm gonna 2 o'clock Central Time. That's 2 hours ahead if you are in the Pacific time zone. I can tell you, I did not take note of what is coming up next, but I can tell you my next number of topics include why gratitude is golden. I actually think that's the next week's topic. What healthy self-esteem looks like, and why to avoid relationships in early sobriety. So those are the next 3 weeks I got scheduled. I do think why gratitude is golden is going to be my next one, but I don't remember. And I didn't bother to look. And in order to look right now, I have to get out of the program that is running the video. So I'm going to let y'all go so I can take a look. Thank you for joining me, John. I'm getting ready to get off. Thank you for joining. If you'd like to come back, this will be posted, and you can watch it in full. Then, and also, if you are interested in coming on the live, I don't take random people coming into the live because it could turn out bad. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't even know if they know what the topic is. And in fact, I remember answering on accident a message like that, and what I saw was nakedness. So I don't do that. If you want to schedule to be on, then reach out to me in my message, and we will talk about doing a show together. Or if you need some help, we can talk about doing that. But that's it. Thank you all for joining Now What with Jeanna, and I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you. And hit the buttons if I can find them. You guys there on